Good morning. Welcome to the garden. I'm glad you're all here with us today on a warmer day than we have had. Just one quick thing I want to add to what Rob shared with you. I mentioned last week there are going to be some changes in the service times, and we had a little conversation just at the end of first service before second service with folks and kind of got a sense of what folks were thinking. And but one thing is for sure, the 10:15 service, as of the first of the year, will move back to 10 o'clock. So you got to come 15 minutes earlier to get here then. So, well, you can come at 10:15, but you're going to miss the first 15 minutes. So, okay, just so you know, so beginning the first of the year, we're going to start this service at 10 o'clock. We're still working on the timing for the other service. We're going to be going to 2 services, and this is because of the schedule here at the theater. So, and as I've said before, this wonderful place has donated this space to us for nearly 20 years, and the Stark family and all the staff here have been so gracious and kind that we will do what is needed, so obviously. And if you have thoughts or ideas or just want to know more information, there are some folks from the leadership team who are here. Sue Matchett is right up there, right next to the booth. Mike Ransom's over here working hospitality. And Rob just prayed and he's disappeared. He prayed and left, I guess. I don't know where he went. So anyway, so if you want to chat with any of them, they'll be, I'm sure, happy to do so and hear your thoughts and ideas. The leadership team meets Tuesday night, so we'll be setting what this is going to look like at that point, and we'll be letting you know in plenty of time. But wanted to give that one, yours is certain, so let you know that. I wish I could read your minds, though, not about that, but I just kind of wonder what you're thinking about in anticipating this Thanksgiving holiday ahead. Because I would guess there probably are folks who are pretty much relaxed and kind of laid back and excited about everything that's coming and seeing those people who are especially dear to us and come, be with them again. On the same token, though, I bet there's some who are kind of dreading it, wondering what in the world it's going to be like. Will there be issues between siblings, or will that rude uncle say something that upsets somebody? Or will we say or do something that'll hurt somebody's feelings? There will be those of us who could be walking around on pins and needles, just kind of wondering what's going to happen. Now, part of the problem, it seems to me, is that we forget about common courtesy sometimes when we're with the folks that are closest to us, that we care the most about. I don't know if it's just that we take them for granted, but we know about pleases and thank yous and some of the kind, considerate things we can do, but we just simply ignore it sometimes and don't do it with our family or with those closest to us. I think Miss Manners would probably be appalled if she could get a peek into some of our households, especially around the holiday time. But, maybe she wouldn't have to look very hard because some of that stuff tends to spill over into public. For example, road rage. We read or hear about it all the time. And it's someone who's not driving to please someone else, and they get violently angry and, just do all kinds of things that shouldn't be honored or accepted. Are acceptable anywhere. And sometimes I wonder if when we have things like that, if it isn't because we're in there this sort of it's all about me mode. I don't want anyone or anything else to inconvenience me, to get in my way. It just seems like there's a lot of that going on. Well, there's some other ways, though, in which more common instances that we experience some rudeness and insensitivity. A friend of mine told me about going to lunch one day, and he put his iPhone down on the table when he sat down. Now, he's older than I am, but the older I get, the less old is. You know what I mean? So I don't consider him old at all. But the server came up to him and said that was the first time she'd ever seen an old man like him with a cell phone, with an iPhone. I thought he had the perfect comeback. He said, "You do work for tips, don't you?" Yeah, a good one, huh? Not just at restaurants, not just in road rage. Go to the grocery store sometime and just see how inconsiderate some people are and not doing basic kind things. For instance, the sign clearly says 15 items or fewer. You know what happens, don't you? There goes somebody with a full cart through the thing. Maybe they can't read. And someone pointed out to me that sometimes it also says for the handicapped as well. So read carefully to make sure we understand. But even that, If you go through there, they don't have their form of payment ready to go, so they fumble around when they're about done. Or, oh, by the way, I have coupons, and they dig those all out, and people have to look at that. Or, think about going to a concert or, say, the 4th of July celebration downtown. And you go early with your family. You spread out your blanket. You have the prime place. And just about the time for the show, all the festivities to begin, here comes somebody and plop their chairs down right in front of you, and you can't see a thing. It's like they don't even know you exist in this world. It's all about them. They aren't even aware that you're there. And while I'm at it, there's one other thing. It seems that we have a terrible lack of cell phone etiquette in this world today. For example, I was at a restaurant not long ago, and a guy a couple tables down from me was talking on his phone, loudly enough that everybody in the restaurant could share his conversation and know what he was talking about. And it's not just when it happens there, it happens everywhere. It happens on airplanes, it happens at the airport, it even happens in the bathroom, people having conversations there. So we need to rewrite the book and include proper cell phone etiquette and how we have to live with good manners and be polite and courteous to other people. Well, I could go on with all of these examples, but I thought with the holidays coming up, well, actually, maybe we just need a good reminder anyway, that maybe we do a little refresher and, think about the wisdom of Miss Manners and see what we could do to be a little more polite, a little more courteous, and engage in using the best manners we could possibly use. And we know what those are. We learned them at home. We do know about the please and the thank yous, and we do know about holding the door open when someone's coming behind us or when someone's coming in the other direction. We do know about making eye contact with someone and trying to really honor them as a human being. You see, when we're talking about good manners, we're simply showing respect and dignity for the worth of the person that we're encountering here. And it's really being sensitive to other people and being aware that there are others who inhabit this planet with us. Emily Post put it like this: manners are a sensitive awareness of the feelings of others. If you have that awareness, you have good manners, no matter which fork you use. So it's not about using the proper utensils. It's about being kind, being courteous, being considerate, and practicing good manners as much as we possibly can. Well, as I think about that, about those little things that we consider manners and being polite, I think that it really has to do with how we live our lives. And when we're talking about how we live our lives, it's also how we live our faith. Because our faith is what we do and how we live and what we say. I really like a statement that's usually attributed to St. Francis of Assisi. And it's this: preach the gospel always. If necessary, use words. See what he says? We preach the gospel by how we live and what we do. And we need to be aware of that. Well, that's why I chose the Bible passage that we have for today. It's the Golden Rule, which most of us know is treat others the way you want to be treated. And this particular version is from Matthew's Gospel. It's found at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, sort of a summation of that. And the version we have is from the Message, and this is how it reads. Here is a simple rule of thumb guide for behavior. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you, then grab the initiative and do it for them. Add up God's law and prophets, and this is what you get. Now, it's sort of interesting. You may not be aware that this statement is not original to Jesus. It already existed in both Jewish and non-Jewish times at the time that he lived. And yet it's one of the most famous things that he is believed to have said. And it doesn't uniquely belong to Christianity, because virtually all the major religions of the world have that statement or something very similar to it that equates to the Golden Rule. And it is, if anything is close to a universal truth, it would be the Golden Rule that applies to all of us, no matter what our faith practices or not. It applies to all of us. It's how we treat other people and how we live our lives. Now, Jesus also gives a little impact to it, a little twist to it, by saying that it's an outgrowth. It's connected to the law and the prophets. And for some, that would mean that it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. But it has to do with honoring and respecting everyone else and respecting their feelings and their principles. It's the undergirding, it's the ground of our ethical behavior. And it has to do with how we go about imitating God's love and grace in this world. Now, I know that can be a little intimidating maybe to think about here we are, using and spreading God's love and grace in the world. But I'm not sure it's all that complicated. Maybe it begins with the most basic thing, that is seeing other people, noticing other people, and speaking to other people. Now, I grew up in a small town. And not everybody knew everybody else in the town. But I'll tell you what, whenever we passed anybody on the street, we just kind of assumed we were friendly. And people always made eye contact and spoke to one another. And, sometimes if they really knew the person, there'd be a hug or a handshake, and they'd chat right there on the street. Now, I know that stuff happens in small towns, and doesn't happen quite as much when we're at a place like Indianapolis, but yet it does happen some. Mike and I go to the Monon Center most mornings to walk on the track, and you have to go up or down the stairs in order to get to the track, which is on the second floor. And almost every time we're there, we pass people on the track, and sometimes they look up or look down and we make eye contact, and sometimes they don't. But when they do, we always try to say something like, have a good day, or good morning, or, enjoy, or something to that effect. But not everybody acknowledges, and not everybody speaks back. And one of the things I really like is when we come in the door or get ready to leave there, the people at the desk always say something about welcoming us and say have a good day when we go out. And you know what? I think that helps us have a good day, a little better day than we might otherwise have. I really do believe that little bit of kindness, that little bit of courtesy can go a long way in making our lives and the lives of others better. You see, you know what we're talking about. You know it is the please and the thank yous. You know it is really looking people in the eye. You know it is turning our cell phones off or turning them on vibrate when we're with another person so that we can really honor them. We all know what they are. It's just a matter of practicing them and making them come real in our daily lives. And if we do that, if we really live the golden rule, I think we'll discover there's some pretty amazing byproducts that come from it. For one thing, we might feel better about ourselves and have a better sense of self-esteem and self-confidence. It might improve the quality of our relationships and just make things go a little bit better for us and for others in this life. And when we practice common courtesy, it has a way of enlivening our interactions. It softens them to a degree, and it helps our conversations go better. Arthur Schopenhauer said, "Politeness is to human nature what warmth is to wax. It does soften us, and it doesn't matter who we're being polite to or courteous to, whether that's friend or family or a total stranger." So, I wonder what it would be like if in the days ahead, and maybe not just for Thanksgiving, but for every day ahead, if we committed ourselves to practicing the golden rule, to really live in tune with the golden rule, and to share God's love in every possible way. How about it? Are you game?